Hey there, it's Kathy Alessandra, the Yes I Can Coach, and we are here with an episode of Yes I Can Living. Super excited to be sharing with you a very close friend of mine who is an amazing business owner. Well, she's got lots to share, but before we get into that, I want to make sure that you are subscribed to the Yes I Can Living magazine. Our next issue is about to hit the streets, and you do not want to miss it. It is something tangible, you hold in your hands. Gets mailed directly to your mailbox, or a digital edition into your inbox. There you go, right? She's got it, exactly. Bibi is actually one of our featured experts in it. So go to yesicanliving.com/subscribe, and you can grab your gifted copy as well. All right, so as I kind of teased at the beginning here, I have my girlfriend, Bibi Goldstein, owner of Buying Time LLC. Also, she's a virtual assistance company, and is also one of my very best girlfriends. So it makes it easy to have a little conversation, although we should have recorded this in the evening so we could have had a little happy hour too. But she's an amazing business owner who works with entrepreneurs around the globe with her virtual assistants, mine as well, and has created something new that she has launched at the beginning of this year that she's going to share with us too. But Bibi, what I'd love to do, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it.
So excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. But if you'd like to go ahead and share a little bit with our listeners exactly who you are and what you do, that would be awesome.
Oh, I would love to. So Buying Time is a virtual assistant support team. So there's an entire team of us that ranges from everything from administrative and customer service type support all the way through to marketing, web support, bookkeeping, graphic design. We run pretty much anything that someone needs, we can usually help them with on the back end of their website. I started my business back in 2007. When we started, we were a personal assistant service. So we used to walk people's dogs and get dry cleaning, grab groceries, all of those kinds of things that you would do in person. And eventually it evolved into, can you help me with the PowerPoint for a presentation? And then we realized this entire virtual world that allowed us to kind of transition that. So, in our current situation, it was very easy for our group to adapt because we were already all working virtually anyways. I have been in the South Bay for 21 years and just grew up just north of here. And I have a daughter who is a hairstylist locally here in the South Bay, and my husband, who we both work virtually, so that's also another interesting dynamic. But he's in education and writes curriculum for math departments at different schools across the country.
Love it, love it. So it's a full entrepreneurial family. And let me just clarify for our listeners, since we're global, South Bay, it's the South Bay area of Los Angeles.
Yes.
Not the South Bay of Northern California.
Don't forget to clarify that.
South Bay of Los Angeles, exactly, awesome. So you've been in business a long time, but let me ask you this. Why did you start your business?
I apologize for pausing. It's a little interesting because the reason I started the business was because my mom fell ill and couldn't do things herself. I was working in corporate at the time, and we were trying to find somebody who could help her with some basic things. And so we tried to find a personal assistant service. And that's how the business was born. I just lost my mom recently in the last couple of months. And so it's been, it's all kind of coming back to a head of, all of these things that had happened. And the guilt and everything that I felt about, like, I wanted to find somebody else to help her instead of doing it myself, because I had a job, because I had, things to do. And our generation, we are unfortunately in that situation of taking care of kids and taking care of parents. And I have siblings, and everybody, did their best to try to pitch in and try to do what they could. It just didn't always work out to what she needed. And so started doing some research, and I was so amazed because my mom was living where I grew up in Culver City, which is a very, fairly affluent area, and definitely a very hipster type of area now. And I was surprised that there was not anything out there. And then I started to look just in my area here in the South Bay of LA, and it was amazing to me that there was not anything.
Yeah.
And so that's how the business essentially was born. Me and a friend at the time did this together. I had a business partner for the first 4 years of the business. And so we did our research and found all these different companies. They were in Texas and in every place else, but we couldn't find anything here in California. And so we decided to give it a try.
Isn't it amazing how many of us start a business based on a need of our own?
Yeah.
We find that need, and then it becomes something that we become passionate about, and and then we're off and running with a new business. So
yeah.
So let me ask you this: what have been some of your biggest challenges in the business, and previous to COVID? What were some of the bigger challenges that you had, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I think there's a lot of challenges that are significant. I would say that there are a couple of challenges for me that were fairly significant. That was in dissolving a business partnership and continuing the business. It was there was a lot of personal side of it involved as well. So I would say that was probably a huge challenge, and I learned a lot in that I can relay to other people and other friends who are thinking of going into partnerships, and being able to understand the things that you should go into it with your eyes wide open. Not that you should never do it, just that there are some things that you should consider when going into a partnership. And then I would say that the other area that was probably a huge challenge was that transition we made from using contractors and 100% of people who had their own businesses or were doing their own thing into 100% employees who now have medical and dental benefits, holiday pay, and 401k, and all of the other things that go along with having employees. But we wanted to create something that created an environment and a culture, and we couldn't do that with contractors as our team.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, your business has grown tremendously from, when you started, and the fact that you completely pivoted in what you were doing, being an errand service, and then making it a virtual assistance company. Which really has come of age, not only prior to COVID, right? Had come of age and everybody was using virtual assistants. I mean, it's such a great way as a small business owner to have somebody help you do the bookkeeping, or, your online marketing or your website or whatever, without having to bring an employee in on yourself. So, but your business has grown, like I said, substantially since the beginning, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when the partnership dissolved, we were in the low six figures. When the partnership when that dissolved, the first year after that, I was back into the 5 figures, and had to rebuild. And we are on our way to being $1 million company. And that's, something that's super important to me, that we continue to build and create an environment for people to work and to have, for clients to have a place that they can rely on for support. I always say that when clients come to us, they don't have to worry about their virtual assistant calling in sick. That there's always somebody here that can help them. So the growth of the company over time, in 2011 was when I went on to own the business on my own. And it was interesting to me to see how long we have I'm just going to full disclosure and open the curtain on this, but we have, I would say that our average transaction per month with a client is about, I would say, somewhere around $200. So it's not a high transaction level. So we have to do a lot of transactions in order to get to where we need to be, or where that we want to be. And, in a year that I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it, we had a goal set for $500,000 for our first time ever in reaching that. And we did that this year. In 2020, we were able to hit that goal. We surpassed that goal, and we'll continue to grow it. I would anticipate that by the time we hit 2024, we're going to be at that $1 million mark.
That's awesome. And what did you find that was like one of the key building blocks for growing your business like that?
A lot of patience. A lot of support, having girlfriends like you who are in business also. And, when we're in that moment of like, do I really want to do this anymore? And having somebody else be there to really create that support. So, that support comes in the friendships that we make and in things that we do. And I think that it's interesting for people to know that also you and I have been friends for about a dozen years.
Mm-hmm.
And that friendship came from being in a coaching program together.
Right.
We developed that friendship over so many years because we were coaching with the same coach, and she had a group program that we were a part of. And this is why coaching is so important. I will tell you, aside from the very first year, I have always had a coach, and I've had specific coaches too. I've always had, a business coach as somebody who was helping me guide along, but having somebody who taught me how to be on video, having somebody who taught me how to speak in front of a group, having even a finance coach, having somebody constantly who is able to do something for me that either unlocks someplace that I have the knowledge, but not necessarily like the kind of knowledge that the coach would have.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that if it was one thing and one thing I could attribute it to, I would say it's that. Have a coach, have support, have those people who know and have been there before you so that they can help to guide you to avoid some of those pitfalls and mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much to be said about, having a coach, having a mastermind, having support, having that tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to bounce ideas off people. But then also, so many, I mean, we've got the same coach, that bird's eye view, helping pull us back sometimes, because we do get in the everyday work and our heads are down and we're, trying to create, and having somebody else to help have that view from up above, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the long-term goals and where the business is going, and it always helps to have somebody else to bounce
for
things
sure.
off.
I don't know what either of us would have done without that kind of support.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be where I am today. I know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. I know last year you made some pivot. I mean, many of us made pivots, right? And so for you, what was it that you saw that you needed to kind of shift or change, and how did you adapt to the changing things last year? and then move forward into the future.
So funny, because I know you know how much I hate that word.
I know. I almost said it too. Pivot. She hates the word pivot. That's, and there's a lot of people. It's not, I mean, but the fact is, many of shift, pivot, readjust. I don't know.
It's kind of like when everybody used to use the phrase thinking outside the box. It's like,
yeah.
Hey, get it.
Right.
So I would say that one of the things that you probably know well about me is that I have a deep desire to give back. I've been involved with the South Bay Business Women's Association. That is real important to me here in the South Bay. And I'm still very passionate about the idea of women helping women. And, one of the things that have happened in this last year that I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people about is the unfortunate remnants of this pandemic and the sheer job loss, sheer number of people who have lost their jobs, the people who obviously, because my husband's in education, seeing this from both sides, the teachers who aren't in classrooms teaching their kids, and the parents who can't necessarily go back to work because their kids are at home. And, honestly, Kathy, the biggest thing for me was the amount of people that I talked to that were just like, God, I just hate being at somebody else's mercy. Mm-hmm. I hate having to rely on whether or not my boss is going to close their business, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen. And that's the thing that started to get to me. And this had already kind of been in the works towards the end of 2019. It was an idea. It was, as our coach likes to say, it was percolating. And I was trying to how do I, make this happen? And I think that the main thing in all of this was the idea that there has to be another way. And honestly, and again, something that your listeners are going to learn about many people who are entrepreneurs is that you can't worry about competition. Okay. So when the minute you start worrying about competition, then you've stopped focusing on what you could be doing better. Now you're focusing on what they're doing that is like you. And there's nobody like you. So you have your tribe and you have the people who are attracted to you, and you just have to have faith that that is what's going to happen. You're going to have the people who need you specifically come to you. So what we did was, in this whole process, it was, how do I make this idea of having something for people and being able to give back and doing something on a greater level, and at the same time be able to take some of the business that we lost in doing events and other things that were part of our business and make up for that. And so Virtual Assistants University was born. And what we've done is taken that and created something that allows for a very, very reasonable tuition, take somebody through the process of creating their own virtual assistant business. Everything from, we've interviewed a business attorney, we've got information on the finance side of things, like all the foundational pieces that you need. One of the things about a virtual assistant business is that it takes very, very low capital to start the business. Mm-hmm. But it still takes some money if you want to protect yourself and do it the right way. And that's where it's important to us that people don't just decide to hang their shingle and do the work, and instead to do it right and to build themselves a viable business. There is no reason why somebody can't work anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a year, or 23 to 30 hours a week, and make close to $80,000 a year.
Mhm.
And to me, that's a great living,
Right.
especially if you can stay at home and have control over who you work with, have control over what kind of work you do. It's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love the fact that you've set this up. I mean, not that it's a business in a box, but it kind of is a business in a box. I mean, it really is. It gives women, or anybody, women or men, an opportunity to start a business with all those foundational essentials that they need, and then how to grow a business along with it, and be able to themselves pivot
Yep.
into, those. There's been so many who've been laid off. There's people who've had to stay home because their children are home, and we're not sure when that's all going to, go back to normal, quote unquote, right? And so it's a great opportunity. And I love the fact that you'd even mentioned here the idea of setting yourself up right, whether it's with Virtual Assistants University or any new business venture, right? Making sure you're setting yourself up with the right foundational principles, whether it's, an LLC and the insurance and the, all the things that can go with it. So that's awesome. It's fantastic. And really a great opportunity for somebody
It
really
is.
to step in.
And you lead some masterminds that I get to participate in, and a lot of the ideas and a lot of what we built in that university came from those masterminds, came from those opportunities where you brought these women together for us to be able to go, wait a second, my sister-in-law is thinking about, starting her own business and doing this, and being able to have some of those conversations that go, is this really a thing? Is this something? Can I do something that people would actually, want to pay for and do? And I recognize that with all the knowledge and expertise that my team has, and my own background in corporate, and the fact that I was lucky that I had mentors who then said to me, don't you dare do anything without an attorney. Don't you dare do
Right.
anything without setting up your business the right way. Don't you dare, like doing all of those things and understanding them. I like that stuff is invaluable because it all led to the birthing of this university, which is going to just continue to grow. And my team is supporting it. We have this great Facebook group that the students are in, and so they're able to ask questions, and the team will get on calls with them and walk them through. It's been really exciting.
Yeah, super exciting. I love it. And such an opportunity for somebody who's really looking to start a business and have somebody holding their hand going through it. So let me ask you this: if there was one thing that you would tell your younger self, something you wish you'd known when you started your business that you know now, what would that be?
So aside from the be very careful going into partnership with personal friends, I think that the biggest thing that I would want to embrace sooner in my younger business self would have been the idea that here I was on my soapbox telling other business owners to do what they were good at and let somebody else do what they're not good at and what they can do better than them. So I would say that it would probably be that, to let go sooner and hand some things off and delegate those things a lot sooner than I did. I think that my business, had I done that, and I don't say this regretfully, but had I done that, I think that I would already be at $1 million business.
Yeah. That's a tough one for many of us, right? Because you think you want to save the money and do it yourself. But, when you're not working in your area of brilliance, it takes 10 times longer to get it done than it would have been to pay somebody. Not to mention that time that you're doing it, you can be generating the income. Mm-hmm. And way more than the income of having a virtual assistant, or, if you go the employee route or whatever to do that, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that for me, one of the biggest things was, it wasn't even necessarily about the money. It was about the feeling it always left me. Mm-hmm. And I just there was always such this heaviness to, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, I just want somebody else to take care of this for me. And that was the thing, is if I had hours with my team, then I would immediately fill it with client hours, instead of going, wait a second, if I got more team and I got more people, then right. I could still do this. Yeah. So
funny. That's a good one. Okay, great. So how would you define success then?
So success is such an interesting word, and we've had many philosophical conversations about some of these value-based words. And you have a great exercise of, choosing what our values are. And I would say that my definition of success is freedom. It's just truly one equals the other. And, the last probably 2 years is really where I've started to get to that place of understanding and defining freedom for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In order to equate that to success. So, for instance, I had made a commitment to myself that in 2021, I would no longer work Fridays. I would no longer forward-facing work. Let me rephrase that. It was going to be my day to sit and write articles, to read, to do the things that make my heart happy with mm-hmm. my business. And so far, I have done that, with the exception of one Friday that I had already had pre-scheduled with a client. I've already done that. And that has given me so much freedom already, because I don't feel that rush. I don't feel that need to just go into the weekend going, oh my God, is Friday night here yet?
Right.
Right. So I would, from the simplistic of sakes, I would say that success equals freedom.
I love that. Couldn't agree more. So what's next? I mean, I know you've got VAU, and but is that, is there anything else for buying time in Bibi Goldstein, or is that the next big thing?
Well, that's the immediate in the immediate future is VAU, and really building that and getting to a better place with that. Ultimately, I would say that if I were to look at the vision of this business for me, I would want to get to a place where my operations manager is, I always call her that, she's our COO, that she's actually running the business and running the day-to-day, and that I get to focus on more of teaching. I get to do more live teaching. I would love to do more things, especially with the students that are going to enroll in the university, and being able to help walk them through things. I think that one of the things that I have not embraced to this day is this kind of thing, speaking and talking more about my story, and hearing more about the things that are happening in the world. And obviously, not to get, political about things, but there's a woman who is our vice president now, and there's always I struggle because of the things that we all struggle with, finding who our true, what our own identity and our own things are, and all of these things. And everyone has continued to talk about the fact that we have our first African-American vice president, female, all firsts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I identify with the fact that she's also Southern Asian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that somebody who looks like me is in a position like that. And a lot of that to me is still feeling like that little girl who goes and sees someone who she can relate to,
Mm-hmm.
and know that there could be bigger and better things out there for them. And so I continue to, I want to continue to work on areas where, not obviously not to her level, but where other people can see me and say, I can do that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can do what she did.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and you know, we all overcome obstacles. I mean, my God, between, it was funny, we were having this conversation on a team call the other day about the things that you endure when you first get a job, or the places that you work. And I worked in transportation and logistics in my corporate career, which is like 98% men and 2% women. And so, you know, I listened to a lot of honeys and sweeties and, you know, things like that in
Right.
meetings,
Yep.
you know, things that you look back at and you go, yeah, that was inappropriate. And yet the world has evolved, and those things don't happen as often as they probably once did.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for women out there now. And there's a lot of opportunity for women who um, are women of color, women who don't have to be described with the B word just because they're strong,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and women who have brilliant ideas.
Yeah.
And those ideas just need to happen. And women are opening businesses on at a greater pace. I want to start helping some of those women. I want to, like, for my future, for Buying Time's future, I want to start seeing something like that. I'd love to have some kind of scholarship program that allows for women to apply who are just starting their business and need help, that someone else is kind of contributing to, that allows for my team's, you know, payroll to be taken care of, so that they can help these women build their businesses. You
Right.
know, that actually, like, that excites me.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. So if somebody wants to connect with you, or they want to learn more about VAU, where would they go?
So I'm going to give two websites. So our
Okay.
Buying Time is buyingtimellc.com, and Virtual Assistance University, and it's assistance as in plural. So Virtual Assistance University, and you can also get to it from the Buying Time website as well. But those are the two places where you can go and you can learn more about what we do at Buying Time, if you're looking for a VA, and how we can support you as a team. Or if you're interested in the university, there's a lot of information there about what we offer and what we're doing, and how it can support you in starting your own virtual assistant business.
Love it. Awesome. I'll put the links. You know, if you're listening to the podcast or watching the YouTube video, or on our website, there'll be the links there too, if there's any question. So let me end with my final question. And that is, what makes you a yes, I can woman?
I have to keep this G-rated.
Yes, please.
You know, so I'm going to say something because it's about you and I, and, you know, this amazing friendship that if I didn't have this business, I wouldn't have met you, and I wouldn't have the relationship with you that I do. And somebody said something to us once that we both took offense to. And that was that we're constantly moving, and we're constantly doing, and we're constantly having to, you know, put something into implement something and to do something different. And we were both just like, God, you make it sound so, you know, like such a terrible thing.
Right? Yeah.
What was the question?
What makes you a yes, I can woman?
I know, I could go on to, but I think that's what makes me a yes, I can woman. I think that the idea that I want to see something that's in here become a reality, I think has to make you yes, I can woman. Like that idea could be if you don't do that, could be depriving many people of what they need.
Yeah. Amen to that. Totally agree, sister. Awesome. Well, Bibi, thank you so much for sharing with our audience today, your stories, and, you know, and just in all of it, being the transparency, allowing the veil to come down so that others can be inspired too, to be able to start a business, to grow a business, to understand it takes perseverance, it takes resilience, it takes a drive. And then, of course, that keyword implementation. Because it's all about yes, I can. So, Bibi, thank you very much for being here today. I appreciate it.
Oh, I loved being here. And it's just, you know, just even having, you know, a half hour, 40 minutes where we can actually just talk it's what it feels like. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode of Yes, I Can Living. We look forward to connecting with you next time. And until then, be sure to live your Yes, I Can life. Take care. Bye-bye.